Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Amateur World Championships. I know this is on the CCS channel, but we are featuring Goldfish Gaming. I am Thunder. This is the wonderful jungler out of Hard Hat Zone. Llama here to join me on the desk for today. We're already getting into it. Pawn Sacrifice Black versus Goldfish Gaming. The bans are coming through. Draven, Mundo, Singed, Gone, Senna, Yasuo, Gwen out of there. Zeri first pick for PSB, and Zillion for Goldfish Gaming. One thing to note, Snow Life is going to be on the support role. Wukong is already picked. We're flying through. Llama, break it down
Wow.
for me already.
Man, it feels like both these teams were ready to go. They were waiting on us, and they said, we already have a draft plan. They know what a B1 is, immediately responded with Zilli and Wukong. I think these teams this is their second round robin now. They faced off once yesterday as well, with Goldfish taking that dub. The Wukong was not shown in that game. It was in the second game there, but it is something that Mossy's been playing. And so already we're starting to see, I think Zillion is a new pick now. You noted it is Snow Life now playing support, so this might be something that he's more comfortable with. However, I haven't seen Goldfish playing with a lot of Zillion here, so
Right.
don't know if Okami's been sneaking that in at all either, but kind of
Maybe.
expecting to see maybe the style for Zillion.
Yeah, I mean, it would not put it. I would not put it past Okami to pull out just the most insane pocket picks, but hey, I would love to see it on the Snow Life. I've been seeing, I was a host for the IBS Amateur Worlds, and we saw plenty of Zillion. We didn't see any Zeri at all throughout all of IBS Amateur Worlds, so I'm happy to see her picked here. But that is Yumi with the Zoomies. I mean, this is going to be one fast Zeri, one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen Zeri going through a lot of changes, even since release was really popular. Almost every professional match we were seeing the pick ban from Zeri got
Hmm.
taken down a little bit and then buffed this most recent patch with some of those crit numbers. So we're seeing
Yeah.
even her getting hotfixed just a little bit to tone down some of that scaling, because by 3 items, Zeri becomes a menace on the Rift. And as you're saying, coupled with Yumi getting the zoomies moving on with Zeri, like the positioning that that champion can have in these team fights is going to be massive if we can see that 3 item breakpoint for her and get that 60% crit chance that she needs to really take over these fights.
Yeah, and now paired with this Diana in the jungle, probably jungle. I'm not gonna pigeonhole anything really, but it's probably going in the jungle. Has plenty of potential for that setup. But there we see that pretty much confirms that it will be the Zillion support. That will be Ari for Okami. The CCS MVP. Arguably, well, I wouldn't say the best mid laner in the CCS, but pretty close to it. Pretty close to it, if not one of the best C or mid laners in Plat. But Goldfish Gaming, they have banned the hotfixed Olaf, Pawn Sacrifice Black. They've taken away the Seraphine, and there is the Kale taken out as well. Kale has been very strong in scaling on this durability patch. So, I mean, both these teams, they've slowed down a little bit on their draft plans. I think some of those first bans might have threw them off slightly,
Yeah.
but I do have to ask, where do we think do we think maybe we see a Peanut Wukong? Is that potentially a thing, or we're saving that for a counter pick?
Yeah, I think that is a flex. We've seen Peanut picking topside in both the last 2 games against both PSB and Ice, whether it
Hmm.
was the Singed or the Dr. Mundo, both of which, we saw PSB ban in the first ban phase here. So it's going
Right.
to be a new champion that Peanut has to pull out this game. Maybe it will be the Wukong. We have seen Mossy already play it here. And this pick basically just says they're going to give the Wukong for the flex last pick. I think some of those bans into topside might suggest that Wukong might have more success not into Olaf and Kale topside. And
Right.
we see Dirt picking up the safe Ezreal. So they do want to hold that Wukong pick either for Dirt or either for Mossy or for Peanut in the top lane. But regardless, we're going to see something new from him. And I'd like to see if it might be this monkey. So I'll be curious to see how PSB finishes out their draft. If it is a Volibear, is that saying it's going to be a Diana mid? But I'd be kind of surprised if that's the angle they're going to go for.
No, I would be too, but potentially they're trying to have a read on whatever's going in the top lane. I could see a Volibear top. I honestly, I don't think it's great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
does give the other front line. This is a lot of short range composition that PSB's already built here with the
right.
Diana and Volibear both being melee and Zeri. She has some mobility, but she has to be close to the fight to be getting her damage off. So I'll like to see, maybe they're just saying we want to be on top of you. Yumi really enables that as well. Volibear has the point and click for some of these more shifty characters like the Ari and the Ezreal. So maybe we want to see just that single target lockdown. I think that's why they chose Volibear. But with the last pick, Darius, this kind of shakes up that whole draft.
Yeah, that locks. I mean, that pretty much all but locks in the Diana mid that will be going into the hands of Zooey, if I believe I'm pronouncing that name correctly, in the hands of Zooey, who has plenty of experience on assassin style champions. I think Diana can certainly kind of fit in that role a little bit. I'm very interested on what the dynamics of the Diana Ari lane are,
Oh,
and there's a Tom Kench that's
oh my.
absolutely a peanut champion. Oh man, I'm excited to see that.
Wow. And typically we see Tom Kench paired with some of these other hyper scaling ADCs when he's played in the support role, whether that be a Jinx, which we saw Dirt play in the past.
Hmm.
But with the top lane pick and seeing that the mobility is coming from Ezreal and Ari, even though Tom Kench feels like, as you're saying, like a peanut champ, I'm kind of surprised to not see it coupled with something that might really want that reposition in a team fight or some of the easy out that Tom Kench provides. So I think it'll be interesting. However, I would have preferred to see Goldfish maybe opt for something more aggressive on that pick there instead of maybe an Ezreal, maybe look at a Kog'Maw or a Twitch or something, a Jinx even backline, something like that that gives them that opportunity. It's kind of interesting to see that that's not the angle they win. So we'll see what value Tom Kench can provide as a R5 counter pick into the Darius.
Yeah, and I am looking at Goldfish's draft, and I'm kind of wondering, they have Ari and Ezreal, they can do some pretty good damage. It's mostly poke though. It doesn't really seem like they have anything that can just really wail on, the enemy team in team fights. And mostly it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, Goldfish, they're probably playing more of a poke comp, a kite back comp, whereas Pawn Sacrifice Black, you said it before, they want to dive all the way in. And I think the Zillion Tom Kench it seems like, they're pretty good ways to combat that, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I really like Pawn Sacrifice Black's ability to just try and kill people outright.
Yeah, and we saw in the first time that these two teams matched up last week that Pawn Sacrifice Black was playing the reserved, the scaling, the Kog'Maw Lulu kind of composition. They said,
Yep.
come into us, we'll pick Gwyn, we'll pick some of these champions that can stay far away, and then try to scale up. And we saw that get abused by Goldfish. Goldfish was always looking for that aggressive play, always
Yep.
looking to, you saw Moxie flashing over the wall for dragons and taking fights, being able to engage fast and hard. However, PSB has pivoted now, and they're saying, no, we want to be able to engage, because I think that was a game that PSB was not able to hit their scale points and weren't able to really control that game or the pace of it that Goldfish Gaming wanted to set. So I think with an early game aggressive jungler like Volibear, having a champion like Darius, who's a strong topside player who needs some resources to get going, it gives them this in button that really, as we see this two items, that they can look to be making proactive, aggressive plays, which I think was part of the reason why we saw this not go their way in their first time that these two teams matched up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, speaking of it potentially going their way, Pawn Sacrifice Black, at the start of last week, I think a lot of people had Goldfish and Dorado Gaming Zeta pegged as the two teams to make it out of this group pretty easily. But Pawn Sacrifice Black actually took a game off of Dorado. The game against Goldfish was not exactly easy. And then they ended up dropping, the next game to Iceborne Mythic, who are 0-2. But Pawn Sacrifice Black, they're definitely a little bit of this enigma. You absolutely cannot count them out. So it'll be very interesting to see where this potentially goes. And, we are getting the lock-ins. Nothing is surprising here, right? We had some flex picks, but nothing is too scary. But I'll take this time to mention that both of these teams, what they are looking for out of today, not just this game, but out of today as a whole, is to get to 4 wins. 4 wins will lock them in to moving out of the group stage. Goldfish, they only have to win 2. Pawn Sacrifice Black, they have to win all 3 to get out without any tiebreakers. Now, if they lose this game, they're still not eliminated, but it would give them a much better shot to win this in order to try to take Goldfish Gaming into tiebreakers with that 1-1 game score.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I mean, every game is so important in this double round robin best of 1, how this is set up. And as you mentioned, top 2, that's the cutoff point. If you're a 3rd or 4th, it's going to be ending after today. With these second head-to-heads now, I think both these teams are going to come in with some idea with how the other team wants to play, and it is adaptive. But with this, with the top 2 teams, every game matters so much. Coming into tonight, you said 4 wins is the magic number. Goldfish Gaming is sitting at 2-1, and PSB, are they sitting? Where are they sitting at this point?
They're at 1-2. They're at the big 1-2.
So as you're saying, if they can even up and go, both teams being 2-2 after this match, that's going to put a lot of pressure on both of these teams to be able to try to make it to that top 2. Granted, first place isn't out of the question yet either. We don't see what's going to happen with Dorado Gaming's Ada as well today. These are still opportunities for any team to be able to clinch, and it's these games that are really going to make or break which of these teams moves forward into the semifinals and the finals from these top 4 teams from both divisions.
Indeed. But we will be getting into this first game of the night here in just a couple of minutes. We'll go on our brief spectator delay. Do not go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are here, and we are back on Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between Pawn Sacrifice Black and Goldfish Gaming. I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting some more interesting summoner spells here, but I mean, we got the Ghost Darius. That's that's about usually what it is. Llama, do you spot anything out here that's, nobody forgot any items? There's nothing spicy. There's no spicy level 1s, so.
It's the
Electrocute
classic
Ari, I
dropping
guess.
some wards, getting some vision, playing safe. I mean, looking at these bot lane matchups, I'm not expecting to see really anything happening bot lane at all. We see Zeri going Flash Barrier with the double supportive summoner spells from Yuumi as well, with her Heal and Exhaust. On the other side, we see Exhaust and Ignite, but it's Zillion Ezreal. Like, the lethal that these two champions have on a 3 defensive summoner spell, Zeri and Yuumi, is very, very minimal. I think very similar to game 1 when we saw these two teams facing off, that bot lane just wants to scale. Like, they're saying, let's hang out, let's hang back. The difference with this game, I mean, most notably in the bot lane, is it's Snow Life instead of Light's Genesis. Light's Genesis was playing the Nautilus that was freed up just to roam and move around the map. Maybe you see some Snow Life looking for some spicy double bombs on Zillion, but I'm not really expecting to see quite as much maybe rotation pressure from that. But junglers are opting to start on opposite sides of the map, and this is a Volibear Wolf start, which is interesting. But both of these champions will probably be pathing opposite from each other, so they will not probably be meeting until a little bit later into this game. But we'll like to see, with this top interesting start from Volibear, maybe he's trying to do something a little bit cheeky topside at this level 3.
Right, definitely a good ganker. Tom Kench, I don't think, is the easiest champion to take down at low levels, especially with these durability patch updates. These early junglers struggle a little bit more to get those ganks off. Maybe they'll force a flash and all that. But I mean, one thing I think you mentioned, Snow Life is not going to be doing probably as much roaming as Light's Genesis was. I am interested to see how often Daddy Zillion will try to pair up with signing potentially. This isn't exactly, the Hecarim Yuumi type thing. Oh, hold on, we got a stun on the bot lane with another time bomb ticking, but it's some pretty significant poke damage. And in the meantime, Okami is just taunting the Volibear up on the top side river, and looks like instead of going top siding, was thinking about mid, only caught out the ward, is now just going for the crab, but Mossy is going top.
Looks like both of them are going to be up there. Yeah, we were saying we didn't think that they're going to meet till later, but Mossy's there.
They're meeting in the bush, and hold on, the knockup, not quite going to get there. Signing just walks right out of that, and whew, that looked almost a little bit dangerous, but both junglers end up just walking away.
Yeah, and in the bot side, like you mentioned, there's a little bit of poke down, and they did get the barrier from Skylancer, so there is a summoner spell advantage now for the side of Goldfish Gaming. Dirt seems to be pushing this in. Both bot laners know that it's relatively safe, seeing those junglers appear on the top side. Snow Life does land a great double bomb. There'll be a lot of poke down with the heal on this wave, crashing so much damage, forcing both the heal.
The Ignite was used as well, and in the meantime, there is trading and shipping going all over the map. Signing is on the run from Mossy. Mossy just playing with a massive ego here, does not care that Signing is in his own jungle. Signing still only, well, both junglers are still only level 3 at the moment, but Mossy is going into the mid lane once again. Signing is very, very low. Mossy having an impact everywhere. Okami uses the flash, but does not force the flash out of the Diana.
And this is something that we saw Mossy do in both of these games from last week as well. Mossy is not afraid to play aggressive, play into these fights, and Mossy also likes using his flash for things like that. I mean, yeah. I don't know about what Mossy's flash was, but we saw him in both these games. He will always flash aggressively. I don't think I saw this guy use flash defensively once in either of the games that we watched yesterday between these teams. He's always looking forward. Meanwhile, topside looks like a pretty heavy trade.
Yeah, Peanut, he's getting chipped pretty low. He does have that thick skin he can trigger, still pretty healthy. He does miss the tongue lash, so a little bit of the grass proc not quite able to be there. But I do want to commend Snow Life is pretty surgical with these double bombs. We've seen 4 or 5 stuns now coming out of this Zillion already, and You know, Goldfish Gaming fans, if you were worried at all whether or not we would still have, or, you know, they would still have good engages going in without Life Genesis, never fear. Snow Life is here, and Dirt wants to go in for some additional damage. The bombs are not quite going to overlap this time. Mossy's not there for the gank as he is going to save Okami. Zui has to dash back to the minion wave, but Mossy can protect and he can attack. But hey, you know, that's really all that matters. You know, I was going to try to come up with a third thing there, but I lost it.
Just those two things there. And we do see, I think, lots of pressure, as you mentioned, from this bot lane of Dirt and Snow Life. Both of them have been really forcing Ziri and Yuumi to be playing under tower, catching these waves safely. Mossy has been playing incredibly aggressive, even invading Volibear, and moving into this red buff. This is Sinning's first red buff of the game here. So based on that early death that he had, and even gratefully it didn't get counter jungled, but we're seeing lots of pressure across the map from Goldfish. It's only the top lane that seems to be going in Sheer's favor. He's done a great job early of really pressuring off this Tom Tench. The early pressure exerted from both Mossy and Sinning did not result in anything topside. And so now it looks like Sinning might just get a free dragon here. Mossy's on the top side of the map, bot lane is reset, and that's a great tempo for a 6-minute dragon here.
Yeah, if they can start getting those stacked, that will just kind of further implement their damage. It will not be, you know, the Hex Tech Soul, and it will not be the Mountain Soul, so it will be either Ocean or Infernal Soul, which, you know, I think both of these teams, I think Goldfish would really, really like Ocean here. Okami and Zui are both trying to go in for just a little bit. Neither of them have ults, so there's no major damage for the time being. Just some trading on the minion waves, but Okami does have, you know, about a wave's worth of CS advantage, and looks like it's mostly going to stay that way here. So I'm very interested to see what'll happen once these teams really start grouping up. Signing is down on the bottom side of the map, but First Herald will be spawning shortly. Do we think Mossy and Signing are going to be trying to go for that? Hold on, looks like they're trying to go for each other first. Zui coming in with the Crescent Slash, but the Blast Cone gets hit, and they separate out. Peanut dives back, and hold on, if we see on the mini map here, Ari and the Diana, they are looking at each other. Looks like we are getting some grouping up for team fighting around absolutely no objective whatsoever. Remember, it's in the rules, they must fight. Some wonderful Zillion bombs stun up too, but Ezreal goes down. Dirt meets his dirt, and Okami has now taken over the fight. Skylancer is sure to fall next. Mossy gets the kill. Daddy Zillion goes down, popped off of his carry. And in the meantime, up on the top side of the map, Peanut barfs up sheer fucking will back under the turret. We see the Noxian Guillotine come down, not quite enough damage, but it's ticking, and Peanut does fall from the hemorrhage stacks, fighting all across the map.
Oh my gosh, there were fights going on everywhere. All 5 members in those 60 seconds were fighting somewhere. You started that off with saying there was nothing to fight for. What is Goldfish doing, looking to take a fight? Or, you know, I guess they said, hey, we're stronger here. We can take this. The level 6 is coming out. We saw so much impact from Okami with his ult that he had in that fight, way more. His Spirit Rush had so much impact versus the Moonfall Vigil of Diana. There was really nothing that Diana was able to do through the exhaust of Dirt. And even though Dirt went down early, he got the exhaust off. Yep. Okami was able to get a couple of resets on his Spirit Rush, and ultimately, in that fight, they were able to trade 4 for 1, but, you know, I guess the plus side of that is that solo kill on the top side from Sheer, but not really enough to mitigate this 2,000 gold advantage now that we have seen Goldfish Gaming make, and like you mentioned earlier, they are on to the Rift Herald, and we'll see if there's any response at all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Signing is pathing down to the bottom side of the map. Okami coming up just for some extra insurance on this Herald to ensure that Sheer Will doesn't steal it. But, I mean, I will say the person that I want to point to right now, as if you are Goldfish, I mean, you're feeling fine and dandy. You have the 2K gold lead, and, you know, Okami has 2 kills to his name, 2 assists, the only member of the team with the bounty for the time being. That is exactly who you want to be carrying your team. Those are the reliable shoulders that you want to lean on. And right now for Goldfish, it seems like their strategy of, you know, just kind of praying that Okami can do enough damage is going to pay off. Oh, hold on. Dirt gets so low. Skylancer pops the ultimate, but Dirt is backing off. Skylancer does take a couple of turret shots, and whew, for a second I thought it was dangerous there, but they come out alive.
Yeah, and Signing was hovering down there as well. I kind of wanted to see if he wanted to use some of his pressure while he's down there, for that Stormbringer to be able to dive the tower. However, they decide that that's not really the aggressive play they want to make. They must have not really had good information from where Wukong was. So instead of that, Signing just kind of wasted a lot of time there. They had a crashing wave, and knowing that there wasn't the chrono shift on Zilean, I think that might have given them a window to play for the dive, but instead they say, let's play a little bit more reserved. We're down a little bit in this mid game, and they are just going to get a free reset and an Essence Reaver now completed on Nezerwell, who's way stronger. Mid lane, there's a fight.
Ooh, Okami goes in. That's a huge charm. The ultimate does not hit anybody, and Mossy just spins to win. Zui falls again.
And he did have the ultimate go down there, and he kept his flash, but that ignite was not enough to get the kill, and Mossy has just been in the right spot at the right time. I feel like we're seeing the impact that this aggressive jungler has been able to make, enabling these lanes to choose to fight. And top lane, a little bit of trading, I mean, he's going to be under tower.
Peanut, he's doing the exact same thing again, tossing Sheer Will underneath the turret. That's a lot of damage. There's the stun. The knockup doesn't quite hit. If the Tongue Lash comes on cooldown fast enough, and Peanut gets the solo kill trade.
Oh, and this is such a miserable lane state now for Sheer Will. He doesn't have a teleport, and this is a freeze for Peanut. Not only did he get the solo kill, he burned the ghost, he has a much more favorable lane state, and now Sheer Will is forced to either walk back up top while they concede the second dragon, and really needs jungle intervention to be able to break this freeze in the top side. However, it looks like Peanut's opted not to play for the freeze, and instead just crash the wave and get tempo, which I think is a little bit of a mistake from him. I would have liked to see some more pressure with that lane state, but instead he's just going to crash in this next one, have the next wave bounce after that, and he'll have the Kano wave on his side like he needs.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice. Wasn't really gonna get any turret plates, off of that wave. Might be able to start chipping at one, but there's not much damage on that top turret to make it happen. So, it is what it is. Maybe was trying to maximize the gold, didn't quite work out. But in the meantime, it's felt like Dirt and Snowlife have been pushed pretty far into this turret. They haven't been doing too hot in this lane. I think that's kind of how it goes against the Zerayumi. But they're still only down about one wave of CS compared to Zuli now in the mid lane on the side of PSB down 30 CS. So for kind of the trade-off of losing lane versus losing lane, Goldfish are definitely feeling a lot better about it.
And Mossy is going to be keeping this pressure up, even though there is already a 1,500 gold difference. Mossy is fine to keep the pressure onto Zuli. Do not let him do anything in this game, and we see the Cyclone going down.
And literally exactly as you called it, forces the flash out of the Diana. A phenomenal target for a re-gank. And now, hold on, the Darius has roamed down to the mid lane, but looks like everybody's backing off for the time being. Zillion bombs down here on the bottom side of the map. The Zeri railgun doesn't hit anybody, and the time being, it all remains calm. I thought we were about to break out on two fights across the map, but no, alas, team decided not to fight. Oh, hold on. No, we're good.
And I think we really see the difference between these two teams now coming to fruition. I think we see Goldfish playing very aggressively. They are being proactive. They're getting in position. Even with a neutral lane state, Mossy is still trying to punish in an advantageous lane. However, we saw that on the other side, that they have to play defensively for Pawn. They are deciding that they need to run to try to match the play. Sheer Will moved all the way down to that play, got nothing for it. And so we are really starting to see that this aggression, being first to these plays, being able to be aggressive, is making a huge difference because of the proactivity that this team has versus feeling like that Pawn is just on the back foot this game.
Right. And, it didn't start off horribly for them, but, now there is a over 3,000 gold lead. Hold on, as I say that, Signing does get stunned up. They're taking the chance to be aggressive now. They've decided now is the time to fight. Signing does get hit with the Ignite, is still running back. It has held on to the ultimate for the time being, but they no longer have the wave. It's pushing back into them, and Dirt and Snowlife have successfully repelled the dive. They've given up, what, 1-2 turret plates, and that is it as the plates fall off. So, once again, Signing going down to the bottom lane and not investing that Stormbringer ultimate. I don't think we've seen it used even once yet.
I think you're right about that. And picking this Volley Bear, you need to see that early aggression coming out. It's early dives. It's being able to use the Stormbringer to dive towers, to play for the single target lockdown, get enough damage to overload with some champions like Diana, like Zeri and Yumi to lock down a champion. And Signing has not been able to do any of that. So with 90 seconds until the next Dragon Spawn, they're trying to get prior in the bot lane, the flash forward.
Indeed, the Cyclone comes in, but so does the Yuumi ultimate. Mossy is still spinning to win, gets hit with the exhaust. The two-shot barrage goes wide. Mossy is underneath the turret. He is taking shots, but hasn't fallen yet. Meanwhile, again on the top side of the map, the top laners are going at it. Sheer Will goes under the turret yet again. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Snow Life finally falls. The Stormbringer comes through, but it only takes down the clone, and Mossy is on a killing spree. Zooey and Daddy Zillion are the ones still surviving underneath the turret. It is 3v2 down here. Peanut can't join with the teleport, but that is 3 kills across the map for Goldfish Gaming, only sacrificing Snow Life.
And pretty amazing to see how well executed across the map both of these side lanes are playing. We see the super hyper aggression from Mossy using that flash aggressively once again, like he loves to do, to make these plays happen. Diving towers. I thought we were supposed to see Volibear being the guy diving towers. Meanwhile, topside, I was expecting to see Tahm Kench playing defensively, trying to mitigate the pressure, but he's getting solo kills under his tower too.
Look, it's Peanut. Peanut never plays defensively. Even on like Mundo and stuff, the man is an absolute beast. And now we are seeing Goldfish. They are taking this absolutely beastly gameplay and taking the Rift Herald, the second one of the game. They have only lost one neutral objective so far. Objective bounties are already up. Goldfish, they have a 4,500 gold lead. Dragon is spawning, and it looks like Sacrifice Black want to try to get this first Ocean Drake. Goldfish, they're starting to wrap around here. They're going to take the mid turret, but it looks like we are gearing up for a fight. PSB, they really want this Dragon.
And it doesn't look like Goldfish is very happy just giving this up, so we do see Mossy rotating down to the fight to maybe at least take the fight afterwards, but Signing might be able to secure it. Mossy's looking over the wall.
Oh, Signing does manage to get it as Mossy goes in, but it doesn't look like PSB are going to win the team fight. Skylancer's on the back line in between Dirt and Snow Life, almost takes down the Ezreal, and Okami gets hit with the Ignite. Peanut gives him the protection of the Tahm Kench stomach, but Mossy is alone until Peanut joins, and Snow Life with the bomb over the wall takes down the Diana. Zooey has fallen, and Peanut's turn to go on a killing spree. Faces down the jungler. All of these Goldfish members are Chads. They only know forward. Sheer Will, the only one left standing to protect this bottom tier 1.
And somehow, no members from Goldfish Gaming went down there. Wukong was on the other side of the fight. Mossy was playing that like 1v3. I feel like on both ends of that fight, members were getting incredibly low, but Peanut was able to save with the Devour. We saw the Chrono Shift going down as well into Okami, who ulted out with his Spirit Rush with a sliver of health. The fight's not stopping, but now Peanut is just rolling over this Darius in the side lane, and there is really nothing that Sheer Will can do at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some scary Darius gameplay. I'm going to be honest, up against this Tahm Kench, it has been so rough. And, you know, Sheer Will was briefly winning the lane and is now down, you know, about 20 CS. This is, you know, if you're Pawn Sacrifice Black, you know, I was kind of thinking like, hey, you know, if the bot lane doesn't go too well, if they get neutralized, you know, maybe Sheer Will on this Darius is really going to be able to kind of pop off and take over the game. We've seen some, you know, we've seen some crazy Darius games, you know, throughout the years, but it doesn't look like he's having one of those, at least not yet. And I will say, in that last fight, I wasn't quite sure if the item advantage was there in the last fight. I'm pretty sure it was, though. I think Goldfish Gaming had finished all of their first items, and Pawn Sacrifice Black hadn't. I think they just now end up completing those key items. So coming into these next few fights and these next few minutes of the game, it might be a little bit more even. But again, Goldfish, their gold lead now extends to 6,000. Mossy is coming. I mean, Zooey's just dead here. I mean, this is just bullying.
He tried to fight that out, but he really did not have the ability to do that. Okami is fine to match Sheer Will as well. You did mention that maybe there's a chance where Darius gets a little bit too large, and they are trying to commit some resources with Signing down there as well. However, with the team comp that Goldfish Gaming has drafted, even if Sheer Will is able to get big in one of these team fights, you have the Chrono Shift, you have the Devour. You don't need to worry about a Darius on your front line because there's so many resources to disengage this fight. There's so much. Having the Time Warp from Zillion for that movement speed that he provides to his teammates provides reposition. You have the Arcane Shift, you have the Spirit Rush. Mossy has a clone as well. There's so many resources to disengage, and they don't even need that. They're still able to push the tempo, play aggressively. 2 minutes until the third dragon. I think the one thing that we do have for Pawn Sacrifice Black going for them is they've stacked 2 of these dragons. They've got 1 ocean already. If they can pick up a 3rd dragon as well, maybe it gives a little bit more pressure to Goldfish to make something happen. However, as these item disadvantages that you were mentioning makes this much more challenging to be able to approach these fights, take a 5v5. So we saw that Goldfish opted for the Herald and mid break instead of that dragon, but I don't think they're going to do that same thing in 90 seconds when this 3rd dragon spawns for Pawn Sacrifice, and I expect it. If Pawn Sacrifice tries to fight it, it's just going to be a wipe for the side of Goldfish.
Yeah, they're so dangerous. They are so tanky at this point. Again, that said, in terms of the items, they are relatively even for the time being, unless Goldfish pull back now and we see some huge investments. So in terms of that, it's a little bit even. In terms of experience, it's relatively even. They're down, a level here and there. But, I mean, right now, Peanut has the TP advantage, can instantly come to any fight. Zooey, on this Diana has the Ignite, matching up in the top lane. So Peanut can be there if they start fighting around this Drake in just under a minute. And we already see Goldfish. They are around the pit. They are setting up vision. They are there early. Snowlife now caught out a little bit by sheer will. Throws down the exhaust, but resurrects himself with the chrono shift, and now sheer will gets caught up by Mossy. Snowlife is still alive, will end up falling to signing, but that is 1-for-1 on the bottom side of the map. Support for top lane, you take that any day of the week. 4th Drake of the game will absolutely be going over to Goldfish, while Zooey tries to survive the onslaught of the Frog.
And looking at these item breakpoints, Ezreal just finished his Mana Immune upgrade into that Muramana. He was at 348 before that fight started, but meanwhile, Peanut might be in trouble.
Does have to flash away. The Moonfall was used, but the Tahm Kench ultimate is there. It's not going to be able to get under tower, but it doesn't matter. Peanut with the outplay again. 6-1-1. The Kench is unbenched, folks.
Absolutely massive performance in Peanut. This is his comfort when he can get a tank. A completely no contest from the side of Goldfish there, and we thought that maybe Zooey could have got something back in the top lane in that 1v1, but Peanut just seemed not bothered at all. And now 2 items for Tahm Kench completed, has the Thorn Mail. He's going to be mitigating so much of this damage. We saw that the magic damage from Diana wasn't an issue at all in that 1v1, so he's just going to keep stacking this armor, stacking the health, and who's going to deal with this guy in the front line?
It seems absolutely impossible unless maybe Skylancer can start running circles around the Kench, but with the chase down that Mossy and Okami have, I just don't think it's possible. And now we see Goldfish, their macro play is coming to fruition. They have 3 members up on the top side of the map to take down the last tier 1 turret, and Sheer Will is going to try to take this chance to trade for something on the bottom side, but Goldfish, they now are going for the Baron. Peanut is down on the bottom side as a distraction. It looks like maybe PSB knows something is up, and Snowlife gets a stun, but I mean, Goldfish, they're just taking down this Baron so fast.
They're taking teleport, but they're able to turn. Mossy's maybe a little bit too far ahead.
And here we go, we're starting to see the ultimates come through. Hold on, Okami, he gets caught out by signing in Skylancer's ultimate, but Zooey is going to fall to Mossy on the backside of the fight. Maybe, hold on. Diana just shielded up. Dirt is low. These are very, very small health bars, but Mossy goes on a rampage. Sheer Will dies on the bottom side again. Show it goes back to the fight. Dirt is chasing down Zooey alongside Mossy, and all of a sudden, I mean, it looked very, very bad for Goldfish very quickly with Okami falling, but now, I mean, Signing is trying to chase down Snowlife, but I don't think it's gonna matter. Dirt goes on a rampage, and the only ones left are Zooey and Daddy. Zillion, Goldfish, I mean, they're backing. They won the team fight. The only condolences for PSB are that they stopped the Baron.
And they killed the RE, so there's a little bit of solace there, but you sure can't kill Ian the Zillion. We saw Snowlife getting out of there with just under 100 health, it felt like. All of these fights, he is tiptoeing around, dodging around, dropping some bombs, slowing people up, stopping Sinning from being able to really impact these fights at all. And if there's a slow bear running at you, you just walk away. And, that fight looked scary for a sec. They were able to kill Okami, and for a moment, I thought that maybe it could have been a fight that Skylancer could have taken. But he's just hitting his 2nd item now, and we talked before the game. 3 items is where he needs to be. So they want to stall it out, but Goldfish is unrelenting. They are right back to the Baron. They are there, Peanut has been there as well. Sheer Will has no way to join, and now they're forced to face check once again, and we saw how it went last time. I'm expecting to see exactly the same this time too.
Sign doesn't open, he goes in. It's going to be a smite fight if Signing can make it happen, and Signing steals the Baron, but they might have just lost the team fight. The Volibear goes down, as does the Diana. It's 3v5 on the map, and Okami, he is on the chase. The entire team is. Skylancer is doing as much damage as possible, boosted up by the Yuumi, who now jumps over to Sheer Will. It is the Darius and Yuumi left alone to stand against 5. They're trying to recall, but they don't have the time. The best they can do is try to buff up this minion wave, but Goldfish, they are bloodthirsty and on the chase down.
Still 5 members strong into just 2, even though there's not a wave here. They are not afraid to stay in position. The Baron buff means nothing when we see an 8,000 gold difference after that Baron went to Pawn Sacrifice Black. So with 80 seconds till the dragon spawn, we'll see Goldfish wanting to regroup, collect their thoughts, spend their money, get back on the map for this 3rd dragon. And with the Baron, it's not going to make too much of a difference. Again, that was an amazing steal from Signing there. And I think that it seemed like a little bit of a strange 50-50, but we know this Goldfish team keeps the pedal to the metal the entire time. They will push tempo. They will force every objective when they're ahead. And we saw them do that. And ultimately, they didn't really have a game plan. They were stronger in the team fight, but it didn't make a difference because they were still able to get the steal. They were able to pick up some kills, but that Baron, it's a consolation prize, I guess, here. And with 30 seconds until the objective, I don't think that we see Pawn Sacrifice Black in a position to be able to contest this 3rd dragon either.
Yeah, I mean, and you can just look at, you know, the items differential right now, and hold on, you don't even have to look at it. Zui and Okami are going at it. Ignite has been traded. Moonfall goes in, but Okami manages to hit the perfect stopwatch and takes down the Diana, a key team fighter taken away from Pawn Sacrifice Black's strategy. They're still around this dragon, though. They know that they cannot give this up if they want to stand a chance. Goldfish, they just keep getting further and further ahead, and they are the first ones to start the dragon.
They are, and Zeri is still about 1,000 gold away from her breakpoint, so can he do it twice? He cannot.
Oh, hold on. He jumps over the wall, but he's a little bit too late. Peanut is on the back line, distracting. Okami goes low, but look how big this frog is. It's 3v1 back here, and he just can't die. Sheer Will is on the run, but he's slowed down by the zillion bombs. He brings Mossy over the wall with him, and the monkey is going to start going on the chase. Sheer Will is trying to keep the team distracted to give Skylancer and Daddy Zillion a chance to get out or a chance to come back and maybe save the fight. Mossy gets revived by the Chrono Shift. That's the first shutdown for Sheer Will, but he can't get the resets. The zillion bombs are coming through. Dunkmaster Darius, who I only see nothing but net for Snow Life. Mossy goes unstoppable. Zui is respawned and has rejoined the fight. Mossy is underneath the turret. Zui's doing a good chunk of damage. Mossy is so low, only has the magic shield and does go down. That's a shutdown into the Diana's pockets. Goldfish Gaming, they'll be repelled once again, but they only keep getting farther ahead.
It still feels like, even though these fights are close, and we were talking about Sheer Will being able to be the difference maker in these team fights, he almost got to the point where he was able to clean up that fight. We saw that when he dropped that Noxus guillotine on the back line, it forced the Zillion ult to come out. It felt like there might have been a chance there if he got the reset to clean up that fight. It was not quite enough, and as you're saying, even with a disadvantageous fight, and it felt like it could have been bad, ultimately it's still a 3-for-2, an advantage of Goldfish. And these fights, these skirmishes, the dragon, they're still going in Goldfish's way, and I want to see that item break point for Zeri. If she can get her IE, I think we're going to see her pumping out quite a bit more damage, and with Signing having his flash for this fight, maybe there's a way on the next Baron you can look to play this if we get that Infinity Edge breakpoint. That's a huge 60% crit for Zeri. That's the point when I think she can start to really dish out damage. It won't be doing anything to Peanut still, but the other members on that team are a little bit squishy still, with the exception of maybe Mossy. So I think there's an opportunity still for the side of Pawn Sacrifice Black to be able to still step up in these fights. I don't think they're quite out of the woods yet, but the Ocean Soul and the Baron, both of these spawns are really going to make or break this game.
Yeah, and with just under a minute and a half for the Baron, Goldfish Gaming are up on the top side of the map. to get this tier 2 up here, try to provide a little bit more pressure. You know, even though Goldfish Gaming have 28 kills, they have yet to crack the base proper, but they want to go in now. I don't know if they knew that Sheer Will was here. Sheer Will trying to get away, trying to run, but will instead just fall to his death. Peanut now in the 2v1 up against Zooey and Skylancer. That is a lot of Pawn Sacrifice Black damage, and Peanut is still alive. He flashes trying to get the kill on Zooey. Zooey flashes away, but the base is exposed. All Peanut has to do is stop the backs. He is still alive and still tanking these shots. But see, Skylancer, he is away from his base. Zooey has no HP. Goldfish Gaming, they're going to start trying to go for these Nexus towers. The respawns, recalls are coming through. YE is completed. Zooey and Skylancer, it is 2v4. Can they make it happen? They have turrets for help. Goldfish, they are starting to back up. They do not want to throw this here. It was almost a heroic effort from Peanut to end the game, but Skylancer and Zooey, they managed to hold on just barely. Oh, Dirt almost just got blew up.
Gosh, that damage. You know, and that's what we said. That 3-item breaking point for Zeri, it seemed really troll at first that they sent 2 members, both of their carries, to go bot lane to try to kill a Peanut? Like, what do you do with trying to kill Tom Kench in the bot lane? But we saw there was 1,000 gold available up for grabs for killing Peanut. And it looked like it could have been Peanut getting both those kills there. But I think great movement from Zooey in that fight allowed him to flash out at exactly the right time. We saw that Skylancer had enough damage to take down Peanut as well. 1,000 gold in his pocket not only completed the IE, it gave him that 60% breakpoint, it also gave him the last whisper, so he has way more shred now for the Tom Kench. And like I said, this is the point now with Baron spawned, the soul fight in 40 seconds. There's still a chance for them to be able to hold on, but we know this Goldfish Gaming squad only knows in.
Yeah, they will absolutely hit the W key whenever possible. Mossy's flash, it looks like it's coming back up in like just a second or two. And so much damage onto Snow Life. I mean, Zeri is getting pretty scary, but Mossy goes in with the spin to win, and the true shot barrage over the top. Okami, he has to start running away, signing in Zooey. They are on the chase. Sheer Will is distracting the rest of the team, and it looks like the first kills are starting to come through for Pawn Sacrifice Black. Skylancer is doing so much damage, but Peanut, once again, it doesn't matter if you have an IE, he just won't die. Skylancer is going in again and again and again, and these health bars are so low. Single autos will take down these members of Goldfish. Skylancer runs right into the middle of the team and is going on a killing spree. Dirt is the next target, gets gobbled up by Peanut. The stun comes through from Snow Life to keep the fight alive, but shut down he goes. Skylancer, triple kill. Peanut will be the next to fall. Skylancer with the quadra kill. That will take them to Soul Point. Skylancer has turned on.
Oh my, we knew this 3-item Zeri was strong. We've been talking about it since the beginning of the broadcast, but right there, it wasn't just the damage that he was able to dish out. It was the movement, the positioning, the target selection, the zoning with his W. Skylancer played that fight to perfection. There was so much micro movement in those fights. Zoning with his W to zone out 3 members to focus on Peanut, reposition, sniped the Ezreal over the wall as well, was able to kite out of so much damage in that team fight. He played that fight to perfection.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty sure all members of Goldfish had shutdown gold there except for maybe Okami, and we see it. There is just bought the Infinity Edge 4 or 5 minutes ago. Now also bought the LDR along with another Zeal. I mean, if we thought a 3-item Zeri was going to be dominant, now she's at 4 items. She's on her way to the 5th. It doesn't matter. You just can't look at the KDAs right now. You just have to be willing to fight. Both teams are on Soul Point. They'll absolutely fight for that dragon. And here we see the stack up Mossy. It looks like he's
where you want
to
be, buddy.
Right no. Oh, he doesn't get hit by the Zeri Q, but Mossy, that's just the clone. That's just the clone. He gets the escape. He's out of there for the time being, and now it's just a game of footsie. These teams, the gold lead, it doesn't matter anymore because Skylancer is pretty much at full power.
Mossy wants it.
Hold on, Mossy goes in, he gets the circles, he gets the spins, he knocks up Skylancer and Sheer Will, but over the top comes signing. And oh my gosh, Zooey on the back line gets the moonfall. Skylancer tossing out damage from over the top, but he falls to dirt. Zooey now on the run. Goldfish Gaming, they've taken down the threat. They've neutralized the carry, signing the only one left standing with Daddy Zillion to support him. 3v2 on the map, and this is where the gold lead will come into play. Mossy is going for the inhibitor while Dirt and Peanut go for the bear. This is looking dangerous. I don't think it's an end, but it's very, very close.
They still have a wave though, and 2 super minions attached on the top side. They're still gonna look. It looks like Mossy has enough damage. One more goes down. Daddy's the only last one alive.
Daddy Zillion is the only one left, and the cat goes splat. Goldfish Gaming, there was a glimmer of hope for Pawn Sacrifice Black, and Goldfish Gaming snuff it out in game number 1.
Wow, we were almost fooled with the 3rd dragon there, but we just...
I don't hear any audio.
One of those engages, you keep the aggression. Life looks like he used both of his bombs. Was not really where we wanted to be at. So it looked a little bit scary still, even going into that late game. But Zeri with a quadra kill almost turned the tides of that fight, and it was not enough for Mossy's engage to get back on the back line. And once Skylancer died, the game was theirs.
That was, I mean, I will say, I was fully believing in Pawn Sacrifice Black. That Skylancer had convinced me, but Goldfish Gaming, it's as you said, they only know how to press W, and Skylancer was not pressing the, obviously it's leaked, so you don't actually have it, but like Skylancer was trying to run away, then turned back to run back towards Goldfish, and Mossy was just like, oh, great, wonderful, thanks, bonk, and that was it.
Yeah, it did feel like that maybe Pawn Sacrifice Black was not quite in the right position for that last fight there. The team wasn't grouped quite as they needed to be. Zeri was not able to provide enough peeling. Dirt 212, I think, really showed what he can do as an Ezreal. He was able to get damage on the back line. Typically, Ezreal's poking front to back, but he used his Arcane Shift aggressively to get the damage that was needed to take down Skylancer. And both these ADCs had incredible performances this game. And ultimately, I think it was Dirt 212 and Mossy fighting that engage in the last fight. And can't forget about Snowlife, who played an incredible support Zillion game too, that was able to provide these double bombs that turned those fights.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, there were multiple times during that game where I saw the entirety of Pawn Sacrifice Black running from a solo Zillion just because they were so scared to get stunned up because he was so surgical with these bombs. But that is only the first game for us tonight. We will have one more before it gets sent over to the official stream. And just a reminder, Pawn Sacrifice Black, they are not eliminated yet. They are now 1-3, so they pretty much have to get a tiebreaker in order to get out. So it'll be very, very difficult for them. The road ahead, the road is not necessarily in their control, but Goldfish Gaming are one step closer to locking one of those 2 spots. Don't go anywhere. We will be back for game 2 in just a few moments. Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to the CCS for your Platinum Amateur World Championships. We are now in the matchup between Iceborne Mythic and Goldfish Gaming. This is also a rematch. It'll be our last game of the day, but we are going to go ahead and get into draft. Goldfish Gaming won their last game. I actually don't know what happened with Iceborne Mythic, so I'll go check that out. Meanwhile, it looks like we're getting the Vladimir and the Talia hovers. Respect to Okami and Mossy for the time being. Much slower draft overall right now.
Yeah, we're not seeing all six bands getting dumped out there. The first time these two teams met up, we saw some similar bands out from Team Ice. There was a blue side Wukong pick for Goldfish when they were on the opposite side of the map. So I'd like to see if that becomes a takeaway for Ice, if that's something that they want to play, or instead maybe they'll ban it away. We do see that typically Mossy's pool does get a lot of bans. The Vladimir is something we've seen in a second half ban before as well. So doesn't seem like too much different from the game one bans, but it'll just be interesting to see what these teams prioritize now that the sides are swapped, and maybe we can get a counter pick for the top laner.
Yeah, and I mean, getting a counter pick for top lane is probably just going to be the ideal situation for either team, especially with the type of game Peanut just had on the Tom Kench. I mean, that's the thing. It seems like Peanut can just pick anything and he'll be absolutely fine. But brief update. So Iceborne Mythic, they did lose to Dorado Gaming Zeta. So
Ooh.
they are also sitting at 1-3. And if my math is correct, and I looked at the foldy sheet correctly, if they lose here, they should be eliminated. And if Goldfish win, they will be on to, they'll be confirmed on, and they'll play a seeding match in the next game. So we'll have to see. But if Ice win, we're all still in it. It's all still a big old pile. We might get plenty of tiebreakers. But finishing out the draft, the Talia, the Vlad, the Viego, our band Gwen, Lulu, and Senna, and Iceborne Mythic, they grab up the Wukong that Mossy played, and Goldfish Gaming, they hovered the Zeri. They saw what just happened to them and said, hey, you know what? Those W's are looking kind of cracked. Maybe we'll nab those up.
Yeah, maybe it is something that Dirt wants to play. You know, last time these two teams faced off, he did pick up the Jinx. It was a Jinx for Dirt, but maybe they say this is something that we saw the value on three items, and they do decide to grab it. I saw what happened when Mossy picked up the Wukong on B1 the last time these teams matched up, and they said, "Hey, we want the monkey this time in the jungle, or maybe into the top lane."
Yeah, it does have that flex pick, so there's still plenty of potential with this draft wide open. But Goldfish Gaming, they're now, no way, no, 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 Goldfish, you cannot be doing this. This is now the Volibear pickup, which is also what Pawn Sacrifice Black played in the last matchup. I cannot, they better not pick
I,
a Darius or a Diana here, or I'm gonna
Oh
lose it.
man. It almost like, does it feel BM to you too there? You know, I'm
Yeah,
feeling like it is
yeah.
like, hey, I know we just beat this comp, but hey, that's actually not a bad draft. Maybe we should draft that same
I,
kind of thing.
yeah, you know what? Maybe it isn't BM. Maybe it's respect. You'd be like, hey, you know what? Y'all almost took us down. We respect that you draft better than us, maybe, and so we'll just steal it. Maybe
Just
Goldfish are now
stealing
just
your
gonna
draft.
maybe now Goldfish are just gonna consume the draft that that their opposing team played in order for the next game. But I honestly don't know. But that is a Karma pickup as well as a Swain. This is a pretty flexible draft so
Yeah.
far from Iceborne. I don't think Goldfish can really pin these down anywhere yet.
No, that's what I was going to say. All three of the characters that Iceborne Mythic have picked up can go at least two lanes.
Mhm.
And so it does give a lot of flexibility, like you said, going to the second half bans. It also might say that based on what you ban second half, then we can start to make some decisions around this flex. We do see Ziggs getting picked up. Again,
Wh-
this could be for dirt. They could send Zeri mid.
Yeah,
Volibear has been seen to go top. I think both of these teams are picking a lot of these flexible champions for draft iterations into the second half. Looks like a Darius banned, so they are going to ban away some top laners here. And based on what Goldfish has shown last game and this game, I'm expecting to see probably a blind pick top laner to hold a lot of flexibility for the draft into the second half. And some of
Right.
these top lane tanks are getting banned away, as we know it's a specialty, but instead they decide we don't want to see the Nautilus, even though it's something Genesis played. I guess they don't want to see Snow Life playing it either.
Interesting. I almost wonder for Iceborne Mythic if that's something that they just had prepped and they didn't really know what to adapt in their draft, and so they just took away the Nautilus. Because I mean, I honestly, I think to me what that reveals is that this Karma is absolutely going in the support position and is not going, potentially mid or top because, pulling up the Nautilus support going into a Zeri, I mean, that feels like a no-brainer
Yeah.
considering that the pick was up.
It absolutely does. And we saw the Zeri in the last game when Goldfish Gaming was playing into it, that if they were not able to just lock down that character, she was so slippery and sliding around these team fights. And so, kind of expecting that Ice needs some way to lock her down. Otherwise, she'll be doing the same thing for the side of Goldfish this game. So,
Yeah.
however, two CC supports are both banned away, and there's still flexibility in the draft. And Peanut, the tried and true Dr. Mundo,
Oh.
is being hovered. This might be something he moves towards, and he
Yeah,
does.
they left it up. They left it up. PSB, they got the Mundo treatment last week, and it looks like it's Iceborne's turn this time. They just, they let it slip through the draft. I'm surprised it waited all the way for phase two, but alas, here we are. Iceborne, they're gonna pick up the Seraphine here, it looks like. And if they do, we're really gonna have to see some crazy
Yeah.
damage coming out of their
Yeah,
last pick, I think.
that's what I was gonna say. You see a double enchanters and then a double bruiser frontline. We need to see some kind of hyper carry picked up on blue 5 here. Otherwise, these team fights have to be so extended for the damage to get down. I really want to see some kind of spray and pray from a Twitch or a Jinx or a Kog'Maw, even something that's going to be able to get through this front line and fight front to back. But instead, it's a double enchanter bot lane. I think
It's
we're gonna say see
yeah.
Swain mid, Camille top, Wukong jungle, and I guess the Camille's say let's lock down Zeri.
Yeah, put her in the Hextech ultimatum. Hope she doesn't have flash cleanse, something like that, to try to get out of it. Try to get out of
Yeah.
range, but it'll be hard to lock down the
Oh,
Spark of Zon. And oh my goodness,
is Snow Life feeling himself?
I
Wow,
think
the
he
hype
is.
pick.
That these drafts are absolutely wild. I will say, one thing I was going to mention coming into this draft is that Goldfish Gaming tend to do this thing where they just draft no damage and then they still just absolutely obliterate the enemy team. It looks like Iceborne has tried to go a little bit more of that style, but Goldfish now has just said, all right, you know what? Enough messing around. We're just going to
Yeah.
try to kill you.
And I do wonder, as you mentioned from the first round that was just played right before this, Ice is coming off of a loss.
Mhm.
Goldfish Gaming just won a game pretty handily, I think, if we look in the whole scheme of the game. And so
Right.
now it feels like Goldfish is continuing to play with an aggressive draft. I think if maybe they'd drop that game, they would go back to some more comfort, something that they already have found success on. However, I think it's kind of guns blazing. They say, hey, give me the pike. I'm feeling good about this. Give me the Zeri and Volibear. Those seem like good champions. And I think
Right.
Ice, we're seeing maybe a little bit more comfort. I'm not seeing a whole lot of holistic team composition coming together. We do have a double enchanter with 3 bruiser front lines, and maybe this durability patch is going to give them enough to really accelerate into these team fights to not die.
I don't need
But
more
Right.
at
enemies.
the same time, it does feel like maybe some of the last game is still weighing on these players' minds, both for the hyper aggression from Goldfish as well as maybe some of that more reserved playstyle from Ice. And last week when we saw that happen, Goldfish way overstepped early game. We saw Mossy diving in stupid places in that second game against Ice, coming off a win as well. They were
Right.
over forcing. We saw that Ratchet made a huge impact on the Ari last time these two teams matched up and was 5-1 by 14 minutes. This
Yeah.
is kind of what I want to see from Goldfish, is even though they have a hyper aggressive team comp that they've built here, early game pressure, a lot of maneuvering from something like a Pike and a Zeri, still not to overstep, because if these bruisers, the Wukong, the Swain, the Camille, get strong enough that you can't shred through them, it feels like there's going to be way more than enough support from Seraphine and Karma supporting these champions to just eat through the side of Goldfish game.
Right. And one thing I do kind of want to ask here is, we still don't have anything locked in yet. Would you what would you actually rather have up against this, what I think is probably going to be a Zeri mid, just because I don't think we're going to see Okami on the Ziggs. It's going to get locked in here. I'm going to say I would kind of like to see Seraphine maybe. No, they're locking this way. You were calling it the entire time. Enchanter bot lane. I was huffing the copium. I wanted to see the Seraphine mid, but nope.
It could have been kind of interesting. I think Zeri just has too many opportunities to be able to move around, and that's Seraphine. I think having Swain in the mid lane gives him the ability to impact lanes, even with his long range abilities. His W there reaches an entire lane. So from mid, he can walk down just a little bit and then impact the lane with some damage, pushing the lane, try to reset it, do something with whether the Wukong, depending on where he's at these fights as well. So I think for all these lanes that Goldfish has been playing into, they seem to be playing pretty defensively bot lane. However, the double scaling, probably going to be Karma picking up some items and maybe a farming Seraphine. But what's that really going to do into Zeri and Pike?
Yeah.
I'm not really expecting to see much. I think really maybe what it does into that team is it encourages somebody on their team to pick up a Serpent's Fang to cut some of these shields that are going to come in from both Seraphine and Wukong, but also the Camille. Right. That's really kind of what I'm expecting as a response from Goldfish. However, if I'm Goldfish, I don't think I'm too worried about the Karma Seraphine bot lane here.
Yeah. I mean, especially when, you have dirt on Ziggs. That was, during the CCS regular season and even in the postseason, that was just I'm looking back. It just seemed like Dirt's name was synonymous with, kind of these not enchanter ADCs, but weak side ADCs meant to just kind of farm, be a little bit more supportive in team fights. The Ziggs is exactly what you like to see. Snowlife almost thinking back to game one there and hovering the Zillion, but locks in the Pike. And I will say, for Goldfish Gaming, this feels just like the quintessential Goldfish draft. Snowlife is swapped out for Genesis, so it's maybe a little bit different in the sport, but this is something that we would have seen in the regular season at the drop of a hat. You were talking about comfort. This looks exactly like comfort for Goldfish to me.
And it also looks like a little bit of the style playmaking that we've known and grown to love about Goldfish. This is a team that's not afraid to play flashy picks. Things like the Zeri mid, the Pike. I don't think any other team is pulling out Zeri mid in CCS. Mundo's Peanut, or Peanuts Mundo, however you want to say that. They're basically synonymous, right? Man, this is just something that he's been pulling out all the time. And Dirt 2-on-2, not afraid to just sit back, whether it's the Jinx, whether it's the Ziggs this game, whether it's the Ezreal from the game before. All these sort of picks are something that just allows him to sit back and do damage from afar, let the team be flashy, and see what happens mid-game.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of the onus is going to be on the Iceborne to try to disrupt this draft, take Goldfish Gaming out of their comfort zone. We'll see if they can do it with the double Enchanter bot, but we'll be back in just a few minutes to bring you out of the spectator delay for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. Hello everybody, and we are just a couple of seconds from all of the players getting out onto the Rift. Once more, I am Thunder, joined by Llama to bring you these two games today. And if Goldfish Gaming win this one, they lock up a spot in the bracket stage of Platinum Amateur Worlds. If Iceborne Mythic lose, they are pretty much guaranteed out. If not, then it becomes a pile where all the teams will be scrapping for those tiebreaker rounds. Llama, how are you feeling about this? Are we getting excited? Do we think this game will be pretty spicy? We're already seeing Snow Life going for those early hooks.
Absolutely. This is feeling like some time to really show up for both of these teams. It's not quite do or die for Goldfish yet, but this can, as you said, this secures them at least an opportunity in that semifinals to be able to be playing, if they're in second, a 1 seed from the other half of the bracket. So I think it's really, I want to see nothing held back from the side of Iceborne Mythic. I think this is a team comp that feels like it might have some strategy a little bit beyond what I kind of see on the surface level. And I want to see what they can do to execute on it, because something kind of interesting might be brewing with these kind of picks. It's not something you typically see as some common champs in competitive.
Yeah, you know, we've seen all sorts of weird drafts here at Amateur Worlds, and I say weird. It's really the better term is creative. They definitely, you know, like to spice things up, like to pull out some pocket picks here and there, and you know, sometimes they draft damageless comps. And I'm not one to critique damageless comps. Goldfish Gaming have made them work. Iceborne Mythic, we'll see if they can do it. And again, it's not exactly damageless, but you know how it is, and so. They're just getting chunked out a little bit, but I think the spot lane is pretty safe. One thing I do want to look at, we looked at it last game, is jungle pathing. It looks like Dire Warning is going down to the bottom side of the map, Mossy going up towards the top. I honestly think, though, that will be actually Mossy going towards the mid lane, most likely.
We've seen the amount of pressure that he has executed on the mid lane early game. This might be one of the more tame early games we've seen from Mossy. He's already taken 3 camps. Yeah. While there is a bot side play, there might have enough damage here.
The hook comes in as well as the stun. Nizumi, the heal comes through. The flash is forced out. And Snow Life gets first blood and is walking forward for even another hook. Mystic Shadow now alone in the lane. And Mossy wants to go in on the mid lane. Okami hits the W. Ratchet gets so low, but roots Mossy underneath the turret. One more tower shot takes him down. Ratchet had a phenomenal game last time against Goldfish and is looking to continue it.
And this is exactly what happened last time these teams met up. Mossy was playing way too aggressively in the mid lane on these fights, and Ratchet knows how to capitalize on it. Okami was not in a position to follow up on that original engagement in Mossy, and it resulted in this same thing. Mossy dying in the mid lane, making Okami in a really bad lane state here. And Ratchet knows how to capitalize. I think this is a player that has been really underestimated, both by Mossy as well as Okami. And we saw in that first game how strong he was able to get. And now he has a blue buff, and Okami already in a bad position in this early game.
Yeah, you never like to see the donated buffs as a mid laner. It just feels bad in the lane. That said, though, you know, Okami is keeping the wave in a somewhat manageable state, I would say. And across the board, Peanut, you know, Taze up here on this Camille. I don't ever envy anyone that has to try to lane against Peanut, especially on this Mundo. He is forced to flash away, though, and the solo laners for Iceborne Mythic putting in a little bit of work here.
That Vision of Empire, the W that we see on Swain, the amount of range that has, forced out a flash from Peanut. We talked about that before this game started with that Swain mid, the impact he can have. He barely left his lane. He wasn't even in the pixel brush yet, and was still able to impact the lane enough to force a flash from Peanut. And that's some of this impact that a Swain can have in these side lanes during some of these skirmishes.
Yeah, now we see Mossy's up there as well, but Snow Life goes in on the hook on Nizumi again. Nizumi gets knocked back. The Phantom Undertow goes through, but doesn't get the stun. Instead, a root gets placed onto Dirt. 2-1-2. Nezmi is on the run, but Dirt with the bomb over the top takes another one down. And Goldfish Gaming, their bot lane is making it happen.
And specifically, I gotta call out Snow Life. He is on point with these hooks. Does miss that one just as I say it. However, was able to capitalize on Nezumi with no flash up. They burned it in the last exchange, back-to-back deaths. We talked about this wanting to be a scaling bot lane. Snowlight is punishing that one now. Dire Warning down the top side. They have 3.
That is taking so much damage here. He's trying to run the flash underneath the tower from Dire Warning. Is healing up, barely survives the turret shot. Thank you, 12-11 for nerfing those. Those came in, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we do see the reduced turret damage, and that was the difference. Even though that tower was still hot, that was 3 tower shots on almost a full health Wukong, and from that, pretty low. We do see the response already from Mossy moving onto the Dragon. Bot lane is shoving up. All of these games, we have seen the pressure Goldfish Gaming's bot lane is able to exert. It gives them the opportunity to move into the objective. First Dragon, going over uncontested inside of Goldfish.
Yeah, you never say no to some dragon, a stacking that is infernal. Mountain is up next. We will either be getting Cloud or Ocean, and I'm going to be honest. I think Goldfish would like either one of, I think both teams would like either one of those. The ultimate movement speed plus the additional healing. That feels pretty spicy for just about everybody. Ooh, hold on, Okami gets rooted in the mid lane again, but it's nothing too scary. The blue buff has fallen off of Ratchet, so the mid laners, they both have their ultimates, but it is relatively even once again. That said, Okami has a 15 CS lead in this mid lane.
That's what I was just going to name actually there. I think that Thunder, like you said, it's almost 15 CS, and I was singing the praises of Ratchet, getting the blue buff early, being able to really punish and put Okami in a bad spot. But hey, I got to take that statement back. He is up farm. He is farming happily. He's got a Colt to give him another 300 gold here in just a little bit when he completes that. And Ratchet wasn't really able to make much happen, at least in the mid lane. Still can't discount the impact he's had in the side lanes.
Yeah.
And I do want to see what happens as he starts to get some completions, but he's not too afraid of being able to just smack down Ratchet in some of these side lanes. Ooh, just pull in, still stop him there, but find a play, nice and reserved.
Exactly, and never doubt Okami. I think is just the thing that if you've watched CCS at all, or even last week, is just generally the thing. Yeah. The man is an absolute legend. So we'll have to see how it goes here. I do like Snow Life buying the double longsword there. You're absolutely going all in on this pike. You love to see it. Almost has the ultimate. We are seeing ultimates come online here soon. The Rift Herald will be spawning very, very shortly. I imagine teams are going to want to fight around that. Both of the junglers are pathing towards that top side, but Okami is recalling for the time being, and everyone's kind of moving around there. We'll see if the bottom laners want to move. Doesn't look like
I do expect to see Pyke on his way through mid here. We'll see if he does decide to make that happen. You do see him starting to move down to the mid lane out of base. Yep. So I expect to see that Mossy's already in position for Ratchet. Has to play him out of the wave.
Does have the level down, goes in with the Stormbringer, but the Demon Flare is popped as well. Ratchet is quite low, losing out pretty heavily to the big bear in the mid lane, but now Dire Warning gets priority over the river and will meet Snow Life there. Meanwhile, Peanut and Taste, hey, they're just going at it. The top laners there on the island, they don't care what happens elsewhere on the map. They are here to scrap, and it looks like Goldfish Gaming for the time being get the Rift Herald priority.
It did feel like that was a pretty big cooldown for the Volibear to use Stormbringer there. With piping up here, it does give the window for Mystic Shadow and Nezumi to play aggressive bot lane, but they won't have enough damage. And now they know that they do have the numbers for Goldfish in this top side. Only 3 members to respond. A little bit of vision, but with the smite, it's just going to go over to Mossy. Doesn't need the Stormbringer. The flash forward from Snow Life misses. And they'll be happy with just the Rift Herald. And Dirt clears out the wave on the weak side.
It's looking really good from Dirt. I think Snow Life wants to go in for the hook, maybe, but instead just takes the turret shot, and Peanut going in for the trade as well. Overall, I will say, we're approaching the 10-minute mark. Ratchet does dodge the W from the Zeri, so no big damage. We're at about the 10-minute mark. We're at 4, 2 kills apiece. All things considered, I think this is a relatively calm and stable early game for both teams. That said, Taze wants to go in. Peanut can decide to go where he pleases and is chasing down Taze after popping. Oh, hold on. Speaking of getting popped, Mystic Shadow is quite low and takes down Dirt 2-1-2. Doesn't even fall in the trade, and Dirt goes down. Taze wants to go in onto Peanut, though. Doesn't make anything of it, and Snow Life and Nezumi, they're duking it out in a little bit of supportal combat, but Dirt falling for free.
Wow, and I was just, again, talking about how Dirt was playing so well on the screenshot across the map, and now Snow Life does have his ultimate away, it has to be flashed.
Oh, managed to just
Dire
barely
warning.
get out of it, but Dire Warning is here. Snow Life, that is it for you, my friend. Farewell. 2 easy kills going into the pockets of Iceborne Mythic.
It is just about an 800 gold lead at this point in 10 minutes, and the biggest advantage is on the side of Okami. He's about to take the tower. It's not even 11 minutes into the game. He is up over 1,000 gold on Ratchet. This was not how the first game went when these two teams faced off. And Ratchet feels like he is not in the spot that he wants to be in. Down 30 farm, down 4 plates. Once Okami breaks this tower, that is a huge influx and acceleration for Ayumi, and we know how scary this game can be when it gets online. But
Moss's ultimate is back up. He goes in. Ratchet is low and finally falls. The Stormbringer over the top. Dire Warning, and Nezumi are both here. Clone over the wall for Dire Warning to try to get on out of there, and they do indeed. All it's going to take from Okami, though, is a single Q to take down the turret. That is first turret gold in all 5 plates for Okami. Meanwhile, Taste wants to try to make something of it in the top lane. Peanut does still have the shield flashes for, just barely gets out of there. All of the big cooldowns from Taste are used, and Peanut makes it out alive.
Wow, and meanwhile, we do see that Goldfish is able to secure the second dragon bot side. And now Snow Life, always looking for these hooks. Can he land this one? This one does go wide.
Ooh, Mystic Shadow with the fancy feet manages to make it out of there. They're trying to start going on this turn, but, you know, the double enchanter bot lane, I think, is doing pretty well into the Ziggs Pike lane. Nezumi does get pulled back slightly, but the Karma shields, the Seraphine heals, they're making it work.
And just want to name, on that back, Zeri just went from a noon quiver to finishing her Immortal Shield bow, getting tier 2 boots for Swifties, and another Cloak of Agility here. This champion is massive compared to the side of the Lost Chapter and Sorcerer shoes that Ratchet has, and now, with that tower down, that frees up Okami to play in these other lanes. Look at the bot side vision they have. I want to see Okami and Mossy teaming up to move into the jungle, start to shut down Dire Warning, but it looks like Okami is fine just to go back mid, and now Peanut's coming to him. There's no tower, and now Ratchet might be in trouble.
Yeah, Mossy is ready. The Sky Splitter comes through, but in the meantime, Ratchet is going down exactly as you said. He has to use the ultimate just to get away. Okami and Peanut, they are trying to bully this lane, but Taste wants to go in, doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't have the flash, really just goes for the engage to try to peel for his teammate. Snow Life is here. Hold on, Mystic Shadow just takes down Snow Life. Ziggs wasn't there. Dirt threw the ultimate over the top, but it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, the mid lane continues to scrap. That's a double kill for Okami. Dire Warning is coming in on the back. The spin to win comes through. The Cyclone does a lot of damage. We see who the clone is, but it doesn't matter. Mossy will fall at the end, but that's going to be another tier 2 in the pockets of Goldfish Gaming.
Plates haven't even fallen off yet, and already the inner tower is going over to Goldfish Gaming. There are still 9 plates for the side of Goldfish in the outer lanes and 15 plates up for the side of Iceborne. And you just see how accelerated this Okami Hayazo is at this point. Being 3-0-1, has taken an inner tower, finished the Zeal, is moving so quickly to 2 items. There is, even though it's 6-6, a 4,000 gold deficit at this point in the favor of Goldfish Gaming, that they have this 4,000 gold advantage. And so they're setting their sights on the top lane and bot lane now, because there's so much standing gold for them to be getting, and I don't think Iceborne can really contest.
Look at this. Snow Life is going toe-to-toe with Dire Warning. Absolutely does not care. Gets hit with the red smite. And now we just see a team fight breaking out, but Okami is here. This is the damage. Taste does throw down the Hextech ultimatum, and Mossy falls. But Snow Life uses the ultimate, doesn't get any resets, but Okami is starting to do the damage. The Zeri is moving and zooming. Doesn't have the ultimate yet. Has used the Ghost to try to increase that movement speed. Forces the ultimate out of Ratchet as well. Zeri is still moving. Snow Life gets one more hook. Ratchet gets pulled in once more. So far, it's only a 1-for-1 for the junglers. Oh, Goldfish Gaming. That almost turned into a disaster.
And we do see that Zeri, even though she's ahead and she does have these items and is accelerated, still some peanuts coming out of her gun at this point. We're not seeing quite the same pew-pew that we saw after 3 items. So Okami, even though was able to stay healthy in that team fight, did not have enough damage to really shred through these beefy frontliners like we see that Iceborne has drafted in this game. So I'll want to see as these items come online, will she be able to shred a little bit more? However, Mati might be out of position once again.
Just came back to life. He has no ultimate. He has no flash. His red smite is on cooldown. He's trying to run out of there, but he's ticking down. Just barely makes it out. And Okami still wants that smoke, wants the chase, has the ultimate if he chooses to use it. Ratchet and Dire warning, they're getting pretty weak. Those peanuts are looking pretty scary. Ratchet gets weak. Nezumi is on the run, and Ratchet can't run fast enough. Nezumi goes over the wall to meet up with Taste, but Okami wants that smoke. He's in there against the double enchanters. He's taking so much damage, but Snow Life takes down the Camille. Nezumi wants more, but it's not going to be enough. The double kill for Snow Life. Okami can't be killed.
This Goldfish squad is unrelenting. I feel like that fight lasted for over a minute, and it looked bad again for Mossy. But Goldfish is not afraid. If they get one member low, that just means there's 4 members healthy. And all of a sudden, Mossy's back on the map.
Oh, Mystic Shadow, you were too far forward. Mossy sniffed you out and took you down. I think that was all 5 members of Iceborne Mythic falling there over the course of a couple minutes.
And it's now a 7,000 gold lead. This gold lead has just ballooned. The 3rd dragon is now alive. We have seen that Goldfish Gaming has been able to secure the last 2, and Mossy just waiting around for his team to be able to get down to this objective so they can take it without any fear of being contested. And it's looking like it went from bad to worse. 2 items now completed on Okami. Already has another BF sword in his inventory. I'm not really looking at anyone else at this point in the game because Okami is the playmaker that we know him to be. And the 3rd dragon is taken by him, and now we're going to see what can they do.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Taste is trying to go in on Peanut, but Peanut has a 2-level advantage over the opposing top laner. If even on even footing, Mundo is hard enough to kill, but this is Frostfire Gauntlet, this is Play to Steel Cups. I don't think this Camille is getting through there anytime soon.
And we talked about this double enchanter bot lane as potentially being a point of strength moving into the mid game. We do see that Seraphine has opted to go for the Leandries instead. So with that, there's going to be more damage and less support happening. We don't even see, I believe, I'm expecting to see a Shurelya's done by Karma, but it might be a Moonstone instead. So I'll be interested to see what happens with this double Divine Sunderer from the side of Wukong and Camille, but there's damage, and it is going to be a Shurelya's picked up for Karma, but it's not enough damage at this point, and who's really going to be locking down Okami in these team fights?
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, the Karma roots, you know, the empowered Seraphine roots, you know, there's roots, right? There's roots aplenty, but you have to actually hit the guy, and that's the entire problem. So we'll have to see what exactly, you know, what their game plan is going to be, their strategy is going to be. Somebody's going to have to go nuclear. Ratchet tries to go in, tries to make something happen. Mossy drops the Rift Herald on the top side of the map.
They don't have the numbers.
Don't care about the bottom side. The Mega Inferno Bomb comes over the top, and Snow Life goes on a killing spree. The wave is cleared, but the Herald is still here. It's more than happy to tank the shots. Blue turret is destroyed by the Satchel Charge. Nezumi trying to clear the wave, trying to clear the turret, and they're able to do it, but the turret, the tier 2, it just falls without a fight.
It did feel like the Ratchet might not have been able to count there. It looked like Iceborne Gauntlet sent 2 members down to try to respond to Peanut, which we did see from the game before, needing to send multiple members to deal with Peanut because he gets so large. However, Dire Warning was down there with Taste, trying to deal with a Dr. Mundo in the side lane. Meanwhile, Ratchet just got caught top. It felt like he was too far forward, did not have the survivability, and didn't have the numbers from his teammates to be able to support him in that play. It just kind of goes down for free. And now we see almost the Infinity Edge completed, and this is way more accelerated than we saw in the last game on when this series is going to be just an absolute menace.
Yeah, and before, like, the thing is, like, before we saw the Zeri as, like, a, hey, this is your last chance, put all of your eggs in this basket, and, I mean, right now, if you're Goldfish Gaming, yeah, like, clearly, you know, Okami is 6-0-4, has participated in 10 of the 13 kills, is performing absolutely insane. But even if Okami all of a sudden decides to turn off his monitor, Peanut 0-1-2 on this Mundo has a 30 CS lead on the Camille, has a level lead, is basically unkillable. Dirt has been putting out a ton of damage. Snow Life, has the Umbral Glaive, has the Serrated Dirt. I mean, the Zeri alone is scary enough. I've said Zeri is scary about 15 times now. I need to think of another word, but like, even if Zeri becomes a non-factor, Goldfish Gaming are still absolutely dominant in this game, it feels like.
Absolutely. And the only way for Zeri to be a non-factor is if Iceborne makes Zeri a non-factor. So when I look at the side of Iceborne, I try to think, what can they do to mitigate the Zeri? That needs to happen. So it makes me think that they need more damage to try to kill her, but they need more survivability to not die to everybody else. It does feel like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point, or maybe between a Zeri and a Ziggs, because it feels like they're just able to keep pushing down this wave. There's enough damage sources, and they're just taking this freestanding gold. All 6 towers now claimed from the side of Goldfish Gaming versus 0 on the side of Iceborne and Peanut.
Oh no,
he loves
Ratchet.
These mid lane 1v1s, or these mid game 1v1s.
No, I mean, Ratchet is doing their best. They're healing up off the minions. They're healing up off of the giant health pack that is Peanut's health bar. Dire Warning is on the way.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it, though.
Survive long enough. Flashes, doesn't get out of range, and Peanut with the solo kill. Dire Warning now trying to chase down the Mundo. Peanut goes over the wall. Dire Warning follows. Taste arrives as well. I mean, it takes 3 members going up there to take down the Mundo. You couldn't ask for more out of Peanut. The Dragon Pit is unattended to for the time being, though. There's only 15 seconds on it. Goldfish Gaming decided they wanted to come try to help their top laner. Taste is on the Great Escape, uses the Blast Cone to get over the wall, and now Goldfish, Snow Life is here, but Taste buffers the hook. I don't know if that was intentional or lucky. Okami is on the chase down, though. Taste is so weak. You can't run from this guy. He's too dang fast. Mystic, Shadow, and Nazumi, they can only run into the base. The Baron is alive, and Goldfish are pinging it.
Yeah, and this is their soul that's up too. And just to show you the power of Goldfish, they are bloodthirsty. They are saying, we don't need a soul. We don't need an ocean. You guys can even take it if you want. We're going to go topside, continue to fight. Okami hit his power spike, has his Infinity Edge, and just is not afraid to just go towards them. It felt like Dire Warning had that moment watching the 1v1 between Ratchet and Peanut where he thought, do I really want to be going in here as well? And he hesitated for quite a while. And ultimately he did, and it was to his downfall. But now, on the other side of the map, Dire Warning might be trying to secure this dragon, and it might be enough damage. 74!
Manages to get it even with Snow Life and Peanut here to try to ward them off. Peanut is getting caught out now. Hey, maybe if 4 members of the enemy team all attack at once, it'll take them down. Taste takes down Dirt, but Okami will not fall. The absolute legend Ratchet goes down. That's a double kill for the Zeri, and Okami surfs over the wall. He's going for the triple. He gets it. And they don't give him the quadra, but it doesn't matter. Mossy and Dire Warning just have a slap fight. The Bear will always win that. 5 members off the map. All 4 members of Goldfish Gaming on the Rift are cloaked in purple. They're running it down the mid lane. They got 20-second death timers. It's going to be up to Taste to try to stop this.
If there's still 2 teleports available, when Ziggs spawns in 4 seconds, Dirt might try to join this fight with his teleport. Peanut also has his if he needs to reset. And now I'm expecting to see they're going to push for the end. Taste needs to hold this 1v4.
He's going in. He doesn't have the ultimate. He's trying to clear the wave as best as possible, but Dirt has arrived. These satchel charges, they delete the turret from half health. Goldfish Gaming, they are 2 against 5. 5 against 2, more like it. The rest are starting to respawn. Are they going to back off, or do they want to go for it? Dirt with the mega death bomb over the top deals death to Ratchet. The second Nexus turret is down. Goldfish Gaming, they are getting out of groups and moving on to the bracket stage.
Wow, what an incredible performance there from Goldfish Gaming. It was, by the end of the game, a 15,000 gold deficit. It was an absolute slaughter from start to finish across the Rift. Every single lane was insane for this side of Goldfish. Felt like the issues that they had with Ratchet last time these team matched up was a non-factor. Went 2-7 on the Swain, and ultimately felt like this was just Goldfish's night. Two convincing victories from both of these last two games.
Yeah, that they've now locked their spot going into the bracket stage, into the best of 5 elimination stage. They will be playing what should most likely be a seeding match versus Dorado, assuming that they beat PSB. But who knows? PSB took them down last time. But back to this game. I mean, Okami just it did feel a little bit like Goldfish Gaming saw this area, said, okay, you know what? Look, we got by it a little bit, so we're gonna show, maybe it wasn't the player necessarily. Maybe the champ is still just a little bit busted even after the hot fix.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why we saw the champion be so busted was because of the hyper acceleration that
Hmm.
Okami had. Even though we saw that Mossy gave over the free kill, like level 3 in the mid
Yeah.
lane to Ratchet, that was one of only 2 kills he got that game. And Okami did not seem bothered. Still got a massive CS lead in the mid game, was still able to be incredibly successful from that point on. Got
Yeah.
his 2 items incredibly early. And by the time he has an Infinity Edge, it was 20 minutes into the game, and he's unstoppable now. So
Hmm.
it seems like a little bit of a Zeri gap.
Yeah. And to be fair to Iceborne Mythic Taste, I will say had probably, as good a game as he could have had up against Peanut. We saw multiple times those Hextech ultimatums go in. And Okami almost died to them a couple times. Did still end up 10-0-7, but I mean that was about as close as you could get without any good hard lockdown CC. So once again, I don't have the exact foldy sheet pulled up, but I do believe that eliminates Iceborne Mythic from contention. Well, I mean, actually, I don't believe they would. The best that they can get now is 2-4, and that pretty much locks them out of the playoffs, unfortunately. But once again, congratulations to Goldfish. We'll have to see if they can carry their momentum into that game 3, though, because they lost to Dorado, and those wounds might come back to haunt them unless they can just play like this again.
Yeah, and they're on a 2 game win streak now. So I do want to see moving to this last match of the night. Will they be able to keep the momentum moving forward? Can they keep showing this aggressive side that's been working so successfully for them these last 2 games? And if they can do that, I think they can give Dorado also a run for their money.
Well, we will have to see who is going to be the top seed coming out of this group, but that will be it for us here on the CCS. I'm sure our wonderful producer, Mr. Fantastic, will send you on a raid over to the channel that Goldfish will be playing on. Do I remember which one it is? No, it's either Excellency or Aegis, but you should be watching both because Plat Worlds is still going on, and you got to keep up with all of it as soon as we are done here at the CCS. So I will say thank you all so much for coming out and watching. Llama, thank you so much for coming and being on the broadcast with me. Once again, thank you to all the teams for playing. And until next time, go check out Plat Amateur Worlds and be safe, be smart, make wise decisions, and farewell.